am going to call this meeting to order, and I'll start by reading the all the fun stuff at the beginning of the agenda. So this is the Town of Fairfax Planning Commission meeting on Thursday, October 21st, 2021. Due to the declared state of emergency and to ensure the health and safety of the public by limiting human contact that could spread the COVID-19 virus, and pursuant to AB 361 and Fairfax Town Council Resolution number 21-40, this meeting will be held via teleconference only. There will be no in-person meeting location. The public can participate in the meeting in real time as follows. There's a you can watch at https://www.townoffairfax.org/watch-live-2/. You can also watch on the Community Media Center of Marin TV online, or I think on channel 27. By Zoom, you can click on a link that's provided in the agenda, which is posted on the town's website. You can also participate by telephone and call in area code 669-900-6833 or area code 346-248-7799. The webinar ID is 842-7052-1962. Members of the public may provide public comment during the meeting using one of the following options. On Zoom, select the raise hand function during the public comment time and you will be unmuted when it's your turn. If you are calling in, please press *9 during the public comment time to raise your hand and *6 to be unmuted to speak. Prior to 3 p.m. on the day of the meeting, members of the public may submit written comments to the Planning Commission. If comments are received after the circulation of the Commission meeting packet, but prior to the meeting, they will be sent to the Planning Commission and will be part of the meeting record, but will not be read aloud. So now we will call to order, and Linda, if you would do the roll call, please.
Okay, Fragoso.
Present.
Gonzalez-Parber. Absent. Green.
Here.
Jansen.
Present.
Kelly.
Here.
Swift.
Here.
Chair Newton.
Here. Okay, thank you. We do have an agenda, and I'm wondering if anyone wants to make a motion to approve that agenda, or if anybody has other comments.
I move approval of the agenda as it stands.
I'll
Thank
second.
you. Motion Fragoso, second Green.
Okay, Fragoso.
Yes.
Gonzalez. Oh, Green. Is that a yes? Okay. I think you have to say yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jansen.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Swift.
Yes.
Chair Newton.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to read the meeting protocol now. The chair shall maintain order at the meetings in accordance with Robert's Rules of Order, and the commission has the responsibility to be a model of respectful behavior in order to encourage community participation and citizen input at commission meetings. The commission and the audience are expected to refrain from using profane language and/or ridiculing the character or motive of commission members, staff, or members of the public, and to maintain the standards of tolerance and civility. So then we're going to go into public comments on non-agenda items. Anyone wishing to address the commission on matters not on the agenda, but within the jurisdiction of the commission, must do so by email or in person via Zoom in the manner described above or previously. Presentations will be limited to 3 minutes or as otherwise established by the commission chair. And in terms of conduct, all interested persons are invited to participate in public hearings in order to give all interested persons an opportunity to be heard and to ensure the presentation of all points of view. Members of the audience should limit their presentation to 3 minutes, provide their comments by email as described previously, state their view and concerns succinctly, and submit any new documents to the planning staff first via email to be entered into the record. So if anyone wants to participate, please go ahead and raise your hand. And I do see we have one hand raised, James Anthony. If we could, Mr. Anthony, I think you can unmute yourself. You may have just remuted yourself, but if you unmute yourself, we'll give you a chance to speak.
There, does that
There.
work?
Yes.
Thank you, thank you. I just wanted to clarify, you have an item on the agenda that was continued from your last meeting regarding an application for some cannabis dispensary related items. And because the public hearing was closed at the last meeting, I'm not sure, I assume then that you won't be hearing any public comment when the item is called again. So I thought if I could just make some brief remarks now, I would do that. Or if I'll have the opportunity when the item is called, I can hold off until then.
I could probably intervene right now. Sir, the public hearing on that item has been closed, and therefore we are not taking public comments at this meeting. You should be aware that this project, or at least portions of it, likely the entirety, will be heard by the town council, but we are not taking any public comments on the cannabis application either now or when it's being reviewed.
Thank you. Let's see, are there other members of the public? Dee Lee, Deborah Benson, I think that's you. If we could, if you can unmute yourself, I think you can speak. Thanks.
Thank you, Mimi. Thank you, commission members. This may not be the appropriate time. I just walked in. I have a comment about item 2 on the agenda, the Forest Avenue application. As a member of the tree committee, is now a good time, or do I need to wait until that comes up?
You have to wait until that comes up. We're just
Okay,
hearing
I'll be back.
on non-agenda items right now.
Okay.
Thanks. All right, and I don't see anybody else's hand raised, going once, going twice. I'm going to close the public comment on the non-agenda items and I'm going to get back to here and bring it back to us. Next on our agenda is our consent calendar, but there are no items on the consent calendar, which leads us to item number 1 on the public hearing items. And Principal Planner Neil, I think this one's.
Yep, it's mine. So on December 18th of 2020, the Planning Commission approved a new single-family residence at 169 Ridgeway Avenue, and the original project consisted of the construction of a 3-story, 27-foot tall, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,549 square foot residential structure. It included 1,376 square feet of decks and 109 square foot entry deck. So the applicants have returned in front of you to do a slight modification of the approved floor plan and make some minor changes to the windows. And they're coming back because we specifically include in the resolutions of approval for these projects that any changes from the plans need to come back to the Planning Commission, especially when you're adding additional living space square footage. Sometimes the planning director will approve minor changes to windows or maybe color schemes, but not when you start adding to the floor plan. So they have modified the first floor plan. The laundry room the laundry room has decreased in size, and the storage room and the mechanical room have combined into a larger study room. That's what they're proposing. Mechanical room has been shifted to the south, kind of under the, partially under the bedroom and under the pantry. And it has not resulted in any change in the exterior walls of the building. It hasn't changed the setbacks. The other changes proposed are to the windows in the stairway column. It was called the tower during your last meeting when you approved it. And they're just very minor changes. The total square footage hasn't changed. They've just separated what was one long window. They've separated into two windows. So they're very minor changes, and staff believes the original findings that you made to approve the project still pertain to the new project. And so we are recommending that you approve the requested modification by adopting resolution 2020-11, reflecting the revised plan set received by the town of Fairfax and reaffirming the original findings. And that would conclude our report.
Thank you. Do any of the commissioners have questions for staff? Okay, great. I think that means we can open the public hearing and maybe ask the applicants if they want to say anything. Let me see if I can. Susan Riley.
Hi, hello commissioners. Thank you for hearing us tonight. We're really hopeful that you can approve these plans so that I can have a small office to continue working from home during these uncertain times.
Thank you very much. Do any of the commissioners have questions of Ms. Riley? Great. Thank you, Ms. Riley. If you could hold on, stay with us. We're going to open the public hearing to members of the public and see if any members of the public have any comments, questions, concerns. Please raise your hand if you'd like to speak on this matter. I don't see any hands raised. Linda, did we get any comments on this item via email?
We did not.
Okay. I will then close the public hearing on this item and bring it back to the commission. Does anyone wish to speak on this matter? Commissioner Fregoso and then Commissioner Green. You're going to have to unmute yourself, Commissioner Fregoso.
There we go. I have a question sort of for staff and the commission. I don't have any concerns about the proposed changes. And I'm wondering if perhaps our language in this instance might be too strict in requiring that they come back to the commission for what appear to be minor changes. I'm cognizant of the workload of the commission and staff who works running circles around us. And I just wonder if it's worth all that energy to bring minor changes like this for a formal review. And I hope that they didn't have to pay for it.
So
That's my comment, but
yeah, let me explain. We didn't used to include that condition, and it was even more of a difficulty for staff because applicants and architects would come in over and over and over between the planning commission meeting and submitting for a building permit, making all kinds of minor changes. Right, and pushing the envelope and trying to add any square footage. And so we included that, and we included language that gave the planning director the authority to approve certain minor changes, right? And so it's really up to the planning director whether we bring something back, but we bring things back because we want to make sure that when people submit, they understand that it's not just a maybe project that's going to the planning commission that they can then just change any way they want afterwards by harassing staff enough between the
Right.
approval and the building permit. And so, you know, I think it's working relatively well. You know, most people, the changes they make are minor, or if they do try to, you know, they have to really want the change and really affect their lifestyle to actually.
So it is a deterrent then.
Right.
That could save time.
Right.
Although,
Although I remember when we put this clause in, and the problem we were having at the time was much greater, where there was a whole room addition in a place that was never permitted, or, you know, groundwork that was done. So very different.
I think it's worked.
Like interrupt you guys and
Yes, go
focus
ahead.
on the matter at hand, and
You're right.
we don't go off on tangents. Commissioner Green.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I just have one change to make to the reso. I like the project also. I think the changes make a lot of sense to me. I have no real problem with it. But since in the report, it's mentioned that none of the proposed changes affect the mass of the building or significant design in a manner that would impact the views of the scenic corridor, the ridgeline development finding. And we're repeating that language in paragraph page 2 and paragraphs 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And I'm just throwing this out is maybe we could just say what is said in the staff report under ridgeline development, that none of the proposed changes affect the mass of the building or significantly modify its design in a manner that would impact the views of the house, which is located within the ridgeline scenic corridor. Therefore, the original findings for the ridgeline scenic corridor are still valid, rather than reciting them again. That's all, just a
We can make
minor
that
idea.
change if that's the, you know, the wish of the commission. So delete 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12.
I'm having
Yeah, I
a
mean,
little,
it's sort of optional, but it just makes sense to me if in the report that this language was there. And so why not just say that?
well, the one counter argument, Commissioner Green, might be that insofar as we are charged with making findings, that it can be helpful to simply recite them. It does seem like a mere recital, and especially for a very modest project like this, a lot of extra work. But at the same time, it's not too much work for staff, and it does clearly establish in the record that the findings were made.
Yeah, well, point well taken. Don't do the extra work. I don't want to burden you. I wasn't thinking of that, but yes, should have been.
yeah, and I prefer having it all in one document, even though it's an amended resolution. I have some.
Let me take on it, sorry.
I have some comments on the language of the resolution. I agree with Commissioner Fregoso and Commissioner Green. In general, I would be supportive of this. But if we could look at beginning on the third whereas clause, pull that up here. The Planning Commission held a duly noticed public hearing.
Thank you. Okay.
And then on page 2, paragraph 9, let me get there. The project does not conflict with the purpose of the Ridgeline Development Ordinance, which is to conserve.
Yep.
Paragraph 12. We've got a reference there to Town Code 17050, which should be 17060.050.
Okay.
All right, and then under paragraph 13, design review, the modifications to the design of the project, including minor window and door changes to the north and south sides of the structure, and reconfiguration of the first floor laundry storage mechanical room area to eliminate the storage room reduced the size of the laundry room. I don't know if that's just reduce
It should be
The
just
size.
reduce. Yep.
the laundry room and combine the storage area and mechanical room into a study with the mechanical room moved to the west underneath the master bedroom. Comply with the design review criteria, I think is the appropriate.
You are
Plan.
correct. Okay.
And then on paragraph 9, whoa, stop, my computer just went nuts. Paragraph 9, you've got during the construction process, the following shall be required, colon. And then you've got paragraphs 10, 11, 12,
Yeah, that's
13,
a numbering thing.
14, which should probably be A, B, C, D, and E.
Yep.
Paragraph 15 would be renumbered paragraph 10. And that also has a colon, and I think that paragraph 16 should be A, paragraph 17 should be B. And then paragraph 18 should be 11. I've got that correct. In the current paragraph 20, which you have underlined, you've got this reference to application 2013, but this is now going to be a modification of application 2013, right? So I don't know if we should say, should require a further modification of application 2013. I don't know, or modification of modified application
I think
2013.
it should be modification of this modified application. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, and then it comes up again in the last sentence, an approved modification
Of this
of
modified,
modi-
okay.
application, maybe. In paragraph 22, I thought we were going to delete design review board.
We are, we catch it sometimes we don't. I've got it.
Okay, so my renumbering keeps going on, and then paragraph 41, the existing paragraph 41, all the district's rules and regulations in effect, not if effect. I think that's it. Those are my recommended modifications to the resolution.
Okay.
Any other comments from commissioners or a recommended motion?
Oh, I could, recommend a motion to approve application. Let's see, where are we here? The resolution that we're discussing here. That's the motion. I mean, to approve amended resolution number 2020-11. I don't know if that's a unique number to this amended modified. Okay, so I approve the amended resolution as just outlined by Commissioner Newton, changes that were approved.
Okay. We have a second.
I will second.
Okay, and I'll call roll. Fregoso,
Aye.
Green,
Aye.
Jansen,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Swift,
Aye.
Chair Newton.
Aye.
Okay, that was unanimous.
Awesome. I think we will go to the second hearing item, which is 31 Forest Terrace. And again, Principal Planner Neal, this is your baby.
Yep. Okay, so this project includes the removal of the storage shed located within the on-site parking area, construction of a 146 square foot second bedroom addition, and the remodel of 143 square feet of the existing bedroom and closet to provide a short hallway between the new bedroom and the existing bedroom and 4 small storage closets. The addition will increase the residence square footage from 940 square feet to 1,086 square feet. and will increase the available parking on the site from 2 9-by-19-foot parking spaces to 1 9-by-19-foot parking space and 2 8-by-16-foot compact spaces. So this based on its slope, this parcel is legal non-conforming. It met the size requirements when it was created, but when the town adopted a slope ordinance in 1973, they increased the minimum parcel size and width substantially with each degree increase in slope, and it rendered this parcel legal non-conforming. The code for the residential RS6 zone says that any modifications to a site or structures on a substandard parcel has to get a use permit or a hill area residential development permit approved by the Planning Commission before it can get a building permit. So this project requires a conditional use permit. The proposed addition meets all the setback requirements. It will result in a house that is similar in size to other homes on similar sized parcels. Residences and properties in the neighborhood range from a 1,226 square foot, 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, single-family residence on a 5,300 square foot parcel with a floor area ratio of 0.23 to a 2,487 square foot, 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, single-family residence with an FAR of 4. And this house will be 1,086 square feet. It'll have 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and its floor area ratio will be 0.11. So it's well below the permitted FAR. It meets the lot coverage, height limitations. The code also states that whenever you're adding a bedroom to a single family residence, the staff shall re-examine the parking and the applicant shall either bring the parking into compliance with the current requirements, or they shall obtain a variance from the parking standards from the Planning Commission. So the applicants are requesting a variance of the parking requirements, and the variances are they're requesting that they not be required to provide a covered parking space. And they're also asking that they be granted a variance to have 2 of the 3 spaces that they're providing be compact spaces. And there's a little bit of an unusual situation here because this property, their driveway crosses in front of the house at 35 Forest Terrace, and it's been that way since like when the house was built in 1921 or something. And so it's not that easy based on the existing location of the house, the proximity of the road, the steepness of the site to just build a covered parking space. We also looked at the fact that now all garages and carports can be converted to ADUs. And so they are going to provide the required minimum number of parking spaces, and they're only asking exemptions to make 2 of them a little bit smaller and to not have the covered parking. And we think it's a good solution. This is a very small house, and it'll bring the parking back into compliance with at least the required number of parking spaces. So we are, it also is going to require the removal of some trees. So you're supposed to have a recommendation from the tree committee, but the tree committee wasn't able to, they weren't all able to get out to the site in order to take action at their last meeting. And the code requires that they act within 30 days of receiving the application. So it's come forward to you without a recommendation from them, but I think there may be 1 or 2 members of the tree committee that did get out to the site that will be willing to give you their thoughts as individuals at tonight's meeting. They're asking to take out 4 bay trees. 1 of them is dead, and to top another 2 bay trees. And the ones being removed hang either over the existing house and threaten it and the existing retaining wall, or they will be hanging over the addition. The ones that are being topped, they're not being removed, but they also have branches that lean over the roof. And I spoke with the fire department, and they said they really recommend that any trees that have any kind of vegetation, so they're not that worried about some of the trunks, but if they have foliage that gets to within 6 to 10 feet of the roof, or is going to get within 6 to 10 feet of the roof, they do want them either removed or topped. So there's a lot of bay trees that are going to remain on the site, and they're retaining the oak trees. So we are recommending that you approve the requests for the removals and for the trees that are going to be topped, because we believe that their removal and proposed pruning is necessary to prevent future property damage, and it won't change the overall character of the surrounding neighborhood or the site. And that's language that's found in your tree ordinance. It says that the tree committee shall consider whether the tree removals and pruning will change the overall character of the surrounding neighborhood or the site. And I don't believe the removal of these trees will. So based on that, we are recommending that you approve application 2122 by adopting resolution 2021-25, which sets forth the findings and the conditions for the project approval. And that would conclude our report.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, sorry. Oh, I was wrong. I have a couple changes to the resolution. So on the first page of the resolution, the third whereas, second line, the words as amended should be deleted. It should just read based on the plans and other documentary evidence in the record. The Planning Commission has determined that the project meets the burden. And then on page 2, second line, it says the addition remodel will result in the removal, pruning of only 6 bay trees, one of which is dead from the wooded site, complies with all the, it should say RS6 zone regulations, not RS 5.5-7, should read RS6. Now I am done.
Thank you, Linda. And do we have questions for staff from the commission? I see Commissioner Swift and then Commissioner Jansen.
So Linda, I missed a little bit of your corrections to the resolution. So I just wanted to clarify that all the references in the resolution to RD 5.5-7 should be RS6 because there's multiple ones, right?
Yes.
All right, got it. Thank you.
Thank you, since you brought them to my attention.
Commissioner Jansen.
Thank you. I had seen a writing of a concerned neighbor that he was under the impression that there was an oak tree that was going to be removed. I understand that's not correct.
No, there's no, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no oaks. And I was a little confused by her letter because the title is for tree removals at 31 and 59 Forest Terrace. So and 309 Forest. So I'm wondering if those oak trees might be for other tree removal applications.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Green.
Same issue with the trees. I mean, the report, the staff report says 3 bay trees will be removed. And then the tree information section below, which is attached, part of it, I think is part of attachment B, lists 6, including, so there's 2 alterations. Those are the toppings. So looks like there's 6 bay laurels there. So I'm not, so that's the question. What is it? How is it? Are those 5 and 6? So there's a 4 that looks like it's removal. So there's 4 removals. I'm just asking, is it 4 removals and 2 toppings?
4 removals and two toppings. 2 trees are going to be topped.
Sounds like an ice cream. Okay.
And it should be the first page of your plans. Either you have a full-size set that identifies the trees being removed and topped, or there's like one of you that might have a reduced one because we didn't get enough large sized.
Okay, yeah, I see the hand-drawn map. Yeah, I got that. Okay, thank you. And they're all bays. That's the other question I had, like.
Correct. I'm not yeah, I'm not understanding what, unless she was trying to cover 3 different tree removals and may have gotten confused, but.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you. Any other commissioners with questions for staff? I want to follow up on that. Is there any requirement that the recommendations as to the nature of what's going to happen with the trees have to come from somebody independent of the company that's going to be performing the work?
There's nothing in the ordinance that says that. You know, when we get a new house, we ask them to use an ISA certified arborist, right, for a new house. But we don't, that's not usually a requirement when it's just a small addition. You know,
Okay.
sometimes, so when it goes to the tree committee, sometimes they will ask for something, you know, more in depth, but
Okay,
I'll give you an example. If this had come in with like some oak trees and redwood trees to be removed, I would have declared it incomplete and said, you need to get me an arborist report, right? Before you go to the tree committee, right? But it's bays and there's a lot of them, and there's a lot of them on this site. So I didn't think it was enough to hold up the project when it's such a small addition. If it had been a new house, they definitely would have done an arborist report, ISA certified.
so I hear that you've got bay bias.
Well, not bay bias, but just what else, what the other trees on the site, if there are a lot of the same kind of tree, you know, I don't know. And I look at it and I say, is this really going to change the character of the site? Right? And is the fire department going to require them to be trimmed anyway? So I talked to the fire department about this, and they are no longer doing vegetative management plans for anything that's not a 50% remodel or a new house, right? So we're kind of on our own when we're looking at these things. But you can talk to the applicants about it. I mean, if they, you know, I think if that's going to kill their project, maybe they'll say, okay, well, maybe we'll try to keep the bays. They also spoke with their tree cutting person. I didn't. So, you know, they'll be here to, I'm not concerned about these trees. I think there's a lot of trees remaining on the site. And I think it's more important to not have them endangering the addition and the existing improvements. But that's just my recommendation.
Okay, thank you. Any other commissioners with comments? Commissioner Fregosa.
There we go. I'd like to agree with staff on the bay trees. These don't look particularly spectacular. They seem to be falling over, and they get a lot of bugs, and there's a lot of leaf fall, and it's good. It's kind of a good fuel tree. So I don't have a problem with them removing those. And clearly there is a lot of vegetation. So that was my 2 cents. Otherwise, I'm supportive of the project.
Thank you. Any other questions as opposed to comments for staff? Great. I think we should then open the public hearing and see if the applicants wish to say anything. I see, oh, great, thank you. Shelley Clark and Colin Kelly have their hands raised. So if we could unmute, and Laura Caroline is there.
Hi there, this is Shelley Clark. It's nice to see you all that I served with and see some new faces. Thanks for taking up our item tonight. I want to start by saying we love Fairfax and we absolutely love our neighborhood, and we love our little home, but we are outgrowing it. We have a 5-month-old baby. He was born in late May, and we're also, my husband and I are both working from home, and so our home has gotten a bit small for us, and so we're hoping to do just a modest renovation to our modestly sized home to be able to stay in our neighborhood. And yeah, so I'm going to let Colin, my husband, speak some about the trees. I'll first clarify. So it's 6 bay trees in total. We are hoping to remove 3 trees. One is actually dead, and so I would hope that wouldn't be an issue to remove. And then we want to top 2. And so I'll let him give more details about his interactions with the tree service.
Hi, thanks for taking the time here. And yeah, generally agree with staff on their assessment. I think, yeah, the only thing that I would add is that we don't have bay, but we love bays. We love our trees, and the ones in question, there's one that's the biggest one, the only one that it's kind of, I think, would be a concern to folks that are concerned with the existence of big trees in our neighborhood, which we are, is the one that's really right over our existing house. And it's been something that we've been wanting to deal with for a long time. And then the other ones, I'd really call attention to those diameters that we're looking at. These are not major carbon stores or, and yeah, this is everything that we're kind of recommending is based on it's cutting down what's necessary and based on a kind of a professional recommendation. So yeah, that's generally it.
Yeah, thank you guys very much. And we're happy to answer any questions about the project or about those bay trees.
Great, thank you. Do any of the commissioners have questions for the applicants? Oh, and I see Laura Caroline, not a commissioner anymore, has her hand up. So Laura, please go ahead.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good, because I don't know. I had another meeting where I don't know, my audio wasn't working, but I think it may have been that the host didn't know was a problem. So anyway, I think Shelley and Colin, you know, kind of explained everything. I don't have much to add. You know, the idea was just to create a modest addition and keep the impact to the site minimal by utilizing an existing patio area. And I mean, if anyone has any more questions about the trees or anything else, I mean, I do have slides available. I mean, I just had them in case anyone had questions, but I think it's just supposed to be pretty straightforward and just a little, you know, just a way to add another little bedroom to their tiny little cottage and still keep the same character that they have. You know, they're not adding another they're going to reuse the existing bathroom they already have. So that was, you know, that was a goal of the project, just to keep things simple and modest.
Thank you. So again, any questions for the applicants or their architect? Seeing none, we can open this item up to the public. Please stand by, applicants and Laura. And let's see if we have anybody. We do. Deborah Benson, I see your hand raised. Please unmute yourself.
Thank you, Don. Thank you, commissioners, for hearing me. I am a member of the tree committee, and I am one of 2 of the members who were able to enter the property and view the trees. There apparently was some confusion about dogs and making appointments, which I didn't see on the application. So I just opened the gate, walked in, the dog came barking up to me and I went, hi, and he followed me around ever after. So I love the bays. The bays are native trees. Had those bays been not in really close proximity to the addition, I think the tree committee would have asked for an arborist report before they were removed. One tree was dead, and the others made sense being so close to the addition to be removed. One of the things that I would have suggested in my comments would be, because all trees store carbon, and by planting 1 million trees, we can combat climate change, would be to consider replacing some of the trees. To my recollection, the slope behind the house and the proposed addition is really pretty steep. And I don't recall that it was really filled with a lot of trees. So So that's the only comment I have about that. But I would have no problem with approving that or voting to approve that application. So thank you.
Thank you so much for coming to this meeting and giving us that information. It makes a lot of difference, I think, for all of us to, you know, even when the tree committee is unable to act as a body, just hearing from one of you is very informative. So thanks very much. Let's see if there are any other members of the public who would like to speak. Please raise your hand. And I don't see anyone, so I will go ahead and bring it back to ask my own question of the applicants before I close the public hearing. Would you be opposed to a requirement that you plant additional trees to replace the ones that are being removed?
We're good, yeah.
No, we're not opposed at all. I actually have just, since we moved in, we planted a couple redwoods kind of in the lower area where we want to start a little grove there. We have one kind of redwood that looks like it's maybe 40, 50 years old that we just love. And so I planted a couple that it could hopefully communicate through the fungal networks in 20, 30 years. So yeah, we're on board. If there's, you know, I think the bays are quite quick to come up and they, you know, but yeah, we're, you know, of course would be open to planting a couple more, probably redwoods or oaks, but we do have kind of a lot of natural recruitment of oaks and bays going on in the yard. So I'd like to have some on there for slope stabilization as well. Like, I don't think we have major drainage issues based on where we are on the hillside. Like even in those big deluges, we're pretty fine, but I still want the hillside is above us and I want it to stay intact. And I view bays as a major part of my strategy there. But yeah, there's I'm happy to walk around back there with any of the tree committee. There's, you know, a lot of, I think, more opportunities to just let it kind of propagate vegetatively than to plant a separate individual. But yeah.
Yeah, I want to tell you guys, Colin takes great pride in our yard, as I can probably tell.
I work in climate change mitigation. That's my job for 15 years or 10 years, and I have a master's in forestry. And like
so we have a lot of plants. We have, you know, we have a lot of trees and that we care for lovingly, and we have a garden and lots of stuff holding that slope on, as well as active management for fire to keep as much fuel as possible out of the yard. So, you know, we're not asking to cut these bays lightly. We understand that trees are important and we love them. They seem necessary, and we have planted recently. So.
Okay, and I see Laura Caroline has her hand raised. Do you want to add something?
Yes, well, I just wanted to add, you know, it is pretty steep in the back. You know, the average slope is like 49%, and the lot is pretty wooded. I did have a slide that, you know, from Google Earth that shows like almost like, you know, you could barely see where the house is because it's all wooded. So, but I support whatever Shelley and Colin plan, you know, to do, because I know that they take great pride and, you know, love their yard and love the trees and all that. So, but I just wanted to add that information.
Any other questions for the applicants before we close the public hearing from any commissioners? Okay, thank you very much. And I am going to close the public hearing now and bring it back to the commissioner for any discussion. If anyone has any thoughts that they want to share at this point. Sorry, Commissioner Green, please go ahead.
Well, sometimes there's a crossover in applications, and So I approve this. I personally think it's a great project. It's very, very modest. And will improve, they came in for an application, they have an architect, and it's a very responsible application. I am a little bay tree phobic. I understand they behave similar to eucalyptus, and I've seen eucalyptus on fire, and it's not pretty. So that's my issue with bay trees. But otherwise, this is a great project. Thank you for agreeing, applicant, to replant perhaps if necessary and as necessary, and we understand. And just a comment, what is village character for some applicants? And the one coming up, if we're going to discuss it at all, ask that question. What is a village character? It's not just the physical plant, it's people like the applicant here who are concerned about the trees and the look of their yard and what the neighbors feel, and complying with us and making an application. That is village aspects. Okay, thank you very much.
Commissioner Swift.
I'm supportive as well of this application. I would have a couple changes to the reso in relation to the reference to the tree permits when we get there. And the only other comment I have is considering the slope and what the applicants are already doing with planting on their parcel. I wouldn't be in favor of any requirement in the reso to have them do any kind of one-for-one replanting of additional trees. That's it.
Any other commissioner thoughts? Commissioner Green.
Sorry, I forgot on the parking thing. I agree with the idea that having the space is better than requiring it to be covered. So I just thought I'd cover that base too. Thank you very much.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
I just wanted to remind you that you did get letters of support from all the adjacent neighbors, and it was my oversight that it wasn't included in your packet, but I did forward them to you as soon as the owners reminded me about them. So they do have support from all their surrounding neighbors.
Great. Any other comments from the commissioners? Yeah, I mean, my thoughts are that I agree with Deborah Benson that, it probably does make sense if we're gonna allow for tree cutting to protect the home, to replace them. I just don't see any downside to requiring that. Our authority to require that may be sketchy, but where the applicants have specifically indicated that they would be open to that, I really don't see why we wouldn't add that one-to-one requirement. So as for me, I think it's a great idea. And, I don't necessarily think that we need to focus on the box size that we have with other items, but simply request the replacement of those trees on some part of the property, whether it's, with a baby redwood or another bay. I would totally leave that up to the applicants and their judgment. I've been doing a lot of research myself on drought tolerant, fire resistant food trees, and starting to think that that there are quite a few of those that are out there that might be beneficial regardless of the requirements. So that's just my take on it. I did also have a couple changes to the reso. And maybe I'll just let you guys know what those are. before I turn it back to Commissioner Swift to tell us any changes she has to the reso. So on the third whereas clause, trying to write that. I have no idea why I wrote that down, but okay. So, oh, those were Linda's changes, sorry. Page 2 of the reso, there is a reference to the findings that we have to make under something about the word reasonable is used. I've got to figure out where it is. And it should be reasonably. Yeah, under the parking variance findings, it says,
I see it. Neither at
okay,
present vicinity reasonably require the strict or literal interpretation. I got it.
okay, thank you. Then on page 6, paragraph 17 seems to start in mid-sentence.
Yes, that is not correct. It's just supposed to say the applicant may propose alternative materials. That's a standard fire department condition. You know, that if you're not happy with some of their conditions, you can propose alternative materials or methods.
Okay, and then, you know, yeah, again, I would add a requirement for a 1-to-1 tree replacement without a box size limit. Commissioner Jansen.
Can I just clarify that? So are you adding that, or are you suggesting that whoever ends up making the motion adds that? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how, obviously, Commissioner Swift's already indicated that she doesn't think that would
Right.
be appropriate. I've indicated I do think it would be appropriate. I don't know if other commissioners are in favor or opposed to that idea. I would love to hear from them. And I don't know if we included it, if Commissioner Swift would oppose the motion, or if we failed to include it. I haven't decided if I would oppose the motion. So
And
let's hear.
I just wanted to ask that when someone does make the motion, that you're specific about the number of replacement trees, because one of the trees is already dead and 2 of the trees are not being removed, they're just being topped. So if you could clarify the number, if you do go that way, if you could clarify the number of trees you want planted, that would be great.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Jansen.
Thank you, Chair. I was exactly raising my hand because of that issue. I think as important as we feel it is for those trees, I would be careful with that, because I think we're venturing into something that we don't know enough about. My understanding is they have already planted some trees that are going to be significantly large. And at some point, trees may crowd each other. So I believe we should leave that to the applicant, what they want to do with it, and not make that recommendation or force it into a certain number, possibly causing another problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Green.
I had just one comment on the reso under parking variance findings, and that is number 1 is neither present nor anticipated, etc. It says enforcement of the specific regulation. I think what we want to do, maybe just to be clear, is to say enforcement of the specific regulation of 1 covered parking space, so that we're indicating what regulation we're talking about. And that's really the only, just for clarification, that's it. Thank you.
So where are you you're in the resolution on which page? Page 2 or 3?
Parking, page 2 at the bottom, parking variance findings.
Okay.
And where it says the end of the paragraph numbered 1, enforcement of the specific regulation. So specified regulation. So I would say the specified covered parking space regulation.
Okay, great. Thank you. I get it now. Okay. Thank you. Got it.
But there's also, to that point, it's not just the covered parking, but I believe it's also the parking space size that we're asking a variance for. So it's within the parking code.
Well, I think we should
Things.
specify that as well then, rather than just say the specified regulation. The point is to be more specific for specified than just saying that. That's all.
Yeah, so I'll say
Any other
enforce-
changes, yeah.
I'll say enforcement of the covered parking space or standard parking space size regulations, because you're granting an exception of the standard space to allow compact.
Right. Okay, that's
That
good.
work? Okay.
Yep, works for me. Thank you.
Commissioner Swift.
So continuing on the reso changes. In the title of the reso, it states when we issue tree permits, they're either for removal or alteration. And in this case, you've got a situation where, you know, there's removal as well as the topping or alteration. So I would recommend in that title that we change that to read tree removal alteration permit. On page 3, for the tree removal / pruning permit section, I would also change pruning to alteration for consistency. And then on page 7, where we state now therefore it be resolved, the first paragraph under that, the same thing, tree removal alteration permit.
Okay.
Okay, so we haven't heard from all the commissioners about how they feel about tree replacement. Commissioner Fregoso.
Thank you, Chair Newton. In terms of the trees, I think it's fine to ask them to replace the 2 trees that they want to take down. The dead tree, I could go either way, whether we ask them to replace it, but not the trees they're topping, because those will remain. And I agree with Commissioner Newton. We shouldn't specify a tree or a box size, but rather leave it at their discretion to place them wherever they think works best on their property.
Commissioner Fregoso, I thought we had 4 trees being removed and 2 trees being topped. So you're saying replace.
So I heard 2
So-
topped, 2 removed, and 1 dead to be removed, but due to death, not just because they're removing it.
Oh, okay, can I clarify? There are 3 trees proposed for removal, 1 tree proposed for removal because it's dead, and 2 trees proposed for topping.
Oh, okay. Then I would say replace 3 trees.
So I'm confused on that because the application for the tree permit / alteration, tree removal / alteration states, and I believe the applicant stated that 4 bay trees are identified for removal and 2 for alteration.
And the 4 includes the
So
1
2.
dead one. If you look at, so they, if you look at the front page that they gave you, they have a bay like located at the southwest corner, right by the property line coming out, that's indicated to be removed. right to the right of that are the two trees that are going to be topped, right? If you go a little bit further to the east, you're going to see two trees, bays right next to each other to be removed. And when you go all the way to the other side, you're going to see the dead one. Are you seeing those on their site plan? There's X's through them. There's one right on the western property line, like right by the corner of the addition, almost like right on the property line. That's being removed. The two immediately to the right of that are to be topped. Go a little bit further east, you'll see two to be removed, and then the dead one is on the opposite eastern side property line. That one's dead.
So that's 4 trees to be removed, 3 that aren't dead and 1 that's dead, right?
That's right. Did I misunderstand you? But yeah, I just wanted to make sure you knew. Somebody said 4, but one of them is dead. Yeah.
So 4 and 2, got it.
4 and 2. Yep.
Commissioner Kelly.
Hi, thank you, Chair. I'd just like to say that I'm in support of the project in general. Though I will come out and tell everyone that I am absolutely pro-tree. I think in this case, I don't necessarily think it's appropriate to ask for a 1-to-1 planting. I think it's a nebulous ask. Not sure where we stop, whether it's species, size, placement, etc. And I think we're fortunate that we seem to be speaking to an applicant that's quite pro-tree, and we might need to worry about them planting too much someday. So we can count ourselves fortunate.
All right, it sounds like we have a variety of opinions on this issue. So let's see if we can find somebody who wants to make a motion here. Commissioner Green, I note that you were the only one who hadn't voiced his 2 cents on the tree replacement. So
Okay.
why don't you make
Sure,
a motion
sure.
and we'll see where that takes us.
Well, because of my little bit of prejudice about bay trees, I don't have as much of a problem. I am also a pro-tree person. I think that's the natural way to replenish the oxygen and get rid of the carbon dioxide. Yeah, this goes back to the 70s and experiments that were made, and we've done nothing. So I'm adverse to taking out trees, but we also have a fire situation. I don't want to make these folks, with their really modest thing, have to spend a ton of money replacing every tree. I would say, limit it to perhaps replacing 2 trees at most, but I don't even feel like telling them how many to replace. As Commissioner Kelly said, we've got people who love trees. Why kind of play with that? I don't think we're going to have a problem here. So I don't want to require them to replace bay trees. I think it's better that they replace them, replace them with certainly something else, but they probably will. I mean, I have a feeling that if these guys see a blank space after tree removal, they will plant something there. And they are well advised to hire a arborist just privately and, get opinions. So I don't have, I love the idea of approving the project basically as recommended with the slight modifications we've made to the reso. And that's the motion I would make, but we have this debate going, so I'm not quite sure how to approach that.
Well, I would just go ahead and make your motion and see whether anybody seconds it and what the vote ends up being.
Well, I would move then to approve this project. Let's see, pursuant to the resolution number, where are we? 2021-25, as slightly amended by comments, and not necessarily approve a tree replacement requirement.
Is there a second?
I would second that motion with a clarification first. Is the resolution 2125, did someone already catch this? The title of the staff report says application 2122.
I don't think resos and staff report, the application and the resos don't necessarily have the
Okay.
job.
In that case, I approve the motion.
Or
as
second it?
stated.
Are you
I
seconding?
second it. I second it.
Thank you.
Okay, I will call the roll. Fregoso,
Aye.
Green,
Aye.
Jansen,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Swift,
Aye.
Chair Newton.
Aye. Okay, so that passes, and, you know, I don't know that I said this on our first item, but for both items, there's a 10 calendar day appeal period and a $625 fee to appeal. So I'll say that twice for each item. There's a 10 calendar day appeal period and a fee of $625 to appeal. All right, so now we're gonna go on to our continued item, which is the 1930 Sir Francis Drake Boulevard, not
Yeah.
Sir Francis Boulevard, Sir Francis Drake Boulevard. And Principal Planner Neil, it's on you again.
Okay, so this project is for a medical cannabis storefront retailer and adult delivery business. And the project was originally reviewed at the September 16th, 2021 Commission regular meeting where the public hearing was conducted. The public was permitted to speak to the project. The chair closed the public hearing and the commission discussed the project and scored the business permit using the council adopted criteria for rating the cannabis business permit application as set forth in the council resolution 19-34. At the conclusion of these deliberations, the commission continued the final action until this October 21st, 2021 meeting, directing staff to prepare resolutions denying the requested formula business conditional use permit application and making recommendations to the town council to deny the requested design review and sign permits and referring the commission scoring on the cannabis business permit application. So that's what we've done. We've prepared the two resolutions, and we're recommending that you take the following actions: that you, one, continue deliberations, and then you take action on resolution 2021-22. A resolution of the Fairfax Planning Commission denying a formula business conditional use permit for medical cannabis storefront retailer, adult use retail delivery only business proposed to be located at 1930 Sir Francis Drake Boulevard. And that you also take action on resolution number 2021-23, a resolution of the Fairfax Planning Commission recommending that the town council deny the design review permit, sign permit, and recommend scoring on the cannabis business permit. So that's a change to the title. And I'll say that again after I finish. Okay, and recommend scoring on the cannabis business permit for medical cannabis storefront retailer, adult use retail delivery only business proposed to be located at 1930 Sir Francis Drake Boulevard, and forwarding the cannabis business score of 80.1 to the town council. So the title that we used for resolution 2023, it made it sound like the commission was making a recommendation that the business permit be denied, and that's not actually within your authority. So the change just indicates that you are providing scoring on the cannabis business permit to the town council. So you want me to read it again in its entirety, or do you think you got it? Should I read it again?
Yes, please. do.
Okay, so Resolution 2021-23, the title should read, a resolution of the Fairfax Planning Commission recommending that the town council deny the design review permit and sign permit and provide scoring on the cannabis business permit for the medical cannabis storefront retailer, adult use retail, delivery only business proposed to be located at 1930 Sir Francis Drake Boulevard.
Thank you. Commissioner Swift, do you have a question for staff? Go ahead.
So, and that's one of the things that I was going to comment on that you corrected, Linda, because it's also in the staff report recommendation.
Yeah, you brought that to our attention, so thank you.
But also on the title, and looking back, the scoring wasn't really for the permit. The scoring was a scoring on the application, so that the application had to meet a minimum score.
So would you be more comfortable with and providing scoring on the business permit application for the medical cannabis storefront retailer? Does that address your concern?
Can you repeat that? You froze on me.
Yeah, you're kind of freezing. I'll repeat it. So if it said, recommending that the town council deny the design review permit, the sign permit, and provide scoring on the cannabis business permit application for a medical cannabis storefront retailer, would that address your concerns? I think we might have lost.
That would work.
That would work? Okay. Did everybody get that? Or do you want me to read it again?
I got it, but I'm not sure I agree with it grammatically. So we're recommending the decision by the town council on design review and the sign.
Right.
And we are also recommending a score on the application.
Right.
But we are not recommending that the town council have a score. We're recommending the town council do design review and the sign, and we're recommending.
Well, that's why we added and providing scoring. So you're making recommendations on design review permit and the sign permit, and you're just providing scoring on the cannabis business application.
Maybe if we put the scoring ahead of the recommendation regarding design and the sign, it would make better sense grammatically.
Okay, so would it be a resolution of the Fairfax Planning Commission providing scoring on the cannabis business permit application and recommending denial of the design review permit and the sign permit? You want to flip them like that?
That's the way I would do it, just from a grammatical perspective.
Okay,
Thank you.
I can make that happen.
So hold on just a moment, Commissioner Fregoso. Commissioner Swift, does that sound acceptable to you? The way
it does. And when we get into the reso, there's related items in the reso, but we can address that at that point in time.
Okay, Commissioner Fregoso, you have a question for staff?
Actually, two comments. One, not pertaining to this project, but pertaining to glitches with the internet, because Commissioner Gonzalez Parver was able to text me to say she'd been trying to get on, but she's having trouble. I told her we seem to have a quorum, so that won't be a problem. Anyway, just to clarify that for the commission.
Let me interject that she may join by telephone if she's unable to join by Zoom, and we may be able to, if she raises her hand, if she can join by phone and raise her hand, we could, give her.
I could text back and use that as an option. She may also be busy doing other things, and anyway, I'll let her know that is a possibility. But back to this project, excuse me for that interruption. I'm glad I didn't notice the glitch with the title. I was very glad you all brought it up, because it was confusing, and I had to go back and read the staff report a couple of times. I think the last title suggestion clears it up very well for me anyway. And I wanted to say a comment that Commissioner Green and I made earlier was that this is an excellent staff report for what was a very complex discussion, and follows, I must add, splendid meeting facilitation by the chair to be able to carve out the different decisions that and considerations the commission made. I just thought it was important to state that. And that's it for me right now.
Thank you, Commissioner Fregoso. Are there questions from any of the other commissioners for staff before we, well, we're not going to a public hearing, are we? So
No, we're not. You're just back in your deliberation phase. So you're picking up where you left off at your last meeting and continuing to deliberate.
okay, and Commissioner Green was not present at our last meeting, but Commissioner Green, I understand you have both reviewed the tape and read the packet. Is that correct?
Totally. And as I reviewed the tape, I thank you, Commissioner Newton. As I read the tape, heard the tape, I mean, tape, yeah. I followed along with the minutes. So there's, you know, I really agreed with most of the thoughts, and I think Commissioner Jansen brought up the cogent point that really started me looking again at these findings. And I could not have made several of the findings that were needed as well. So overall, I agreed with that. I had actually reviewed before the hearing and before I realized I couldn't make it last time, the LLC's operating agreement for Fairfax, for Remedy Fairfax. And I found that the management could come from anywhere. The manager could be chosen from anywhere in the world. And, you know, there's language in the agreement, in other words, their actual operating agreement that did not agree with the presentation about local control and local management, especially. So therefore I came to the conclusion that I couldn't find that the proposed business would provide services or products which complement existing businesses, or the finding that if located within the town center planning area, the proposed formula business would be consistent with pedestrian orientation. Just to be clear though, I have no problem with the nature of their business and agree with you, Chair Newton, that there's nothing we can really do to address the, you know, heartfelt problem of the Manaball issue. You know, and I also couldn't make all the required findings of 17032 060, especially Part B, because I thought it might create an undue or excessive burden in the use or enjoyment of the downtown. I think that was one of Mr. Jansen's points. So those are my comments. I kind of agree with the outcome. I think maybe it's unfortunate, but it happened. So and I didn't really score. I didn't go through the scoring process because as I went through the hearing, I realized, well, you're going to continue and we'll have a little discussion like this. No need for me to, you know, rack my brain on scoring. But I think, you know, frankly, their business model was very good. I think that the idea of having a more professional cannabis business is a great one. And their model does seem to be something that's well thought out. And I can't say that they weren't, you know, going to have a good business wherever it's located. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Green. Commissioner Jansen.
Thank you. Yeah, I in general concur with the resolutions. There's one thing though that it puzzles me a little bit, so I'm not sure if it's a question or I'm just not remembering it correctly. And it's the focus on the sign. I remember that whether it's 1 square foot sign or 2 that add up to be larger, I don't remember that the commission actually had a problem with it. As I said, I'm not sure that I remember it correctly. It's maybe not that relevant in this context, but I was a little bit surprised by the focus on that. So maybe somebody else in the commission can refresh my memory.
Yeah, at the risk of noting that our senior planner Neil is multitasking as we speak, I believe in the minutes there are references to the deliberations that we had regarding the sign. And I'm just gonna scroll down here in the minutes and see if I can pull that out for you. Okay. So on page 6 of the minutes that we have in our packet, there was a reference. Okay.
No,
but you didn't hear what Commissioner Jansen.
no, I was talking to your other commissioner that was having trouble getting into the meeting. So.
I was reiterating, I was a little bit surprised by the focus on the signage. I was remembering personally that the variance of the signage wasn't really so much an issue. And again, it's maybe not that relevant at this point, but.
If you go down in the minutes, I think it's the 4th paragraph, it says Chair Newton asked for a straw poll of the commission of who could support the sign permit exception. Commissioner
Page 6, right?
Yes, page 6. 4th paragraph down, there's just reference to the straw poll about support of the sign permit exception. Commissioner Fregoso stated she had a problem granting the sign exception, and I'm assuming that there won't be corrections to this paragraph, but Commissioner Swift saying she could not support the sign permit. Commissioner Kelly agreed with Commissioner Swift, and just you and I were able to make the finding to support the sign permit.
Okay, thank you.
Are there other comments from any of the commissioners at this point? And if there are no comments, I assume there will be a motion. Commissioner Swift.
I have a couple of corrections to the reso, suggested corrections to 2021-22. Page 1, the 4th whereas should read denying the application, singular.
Thank you.
And then on page 2, we break out the general use permit findings and the formula business use permit findings, and we kind of title those differently. The general use permit findings is only referencing one of the required findings that we could not make instead of both of them. And I would suggest that read general use permit required. So it's more consistent with the one for the formula business. General use permit required findings, paren town code, chapter 17-032-060 required findings, paren B and paren D. And then I had kind of a comment / thought. on page 3 for finding D, where we talk about town centers, pedestrian orientation will be adversely affected by the influx of one-purpose visitors, traffic and activity patterns. One of the things that we talked about was the impact to the neighborhoods adjacent to the town center and the concern with the traffic. And I would have a suggestion of including after activity patterns, comma, including impact on neighborhoods adjacent to the town center. I don't know how everyone else feels about that.
I think, isn't that in there somewhere about, specifically about the neighborhood surrounding it, maybe in another section?
Use finding the general use,
on
the general
page
use
2,
permit, but
on
not
page
the
2,
formula business.
on page 2, paragraph 2, about the formula business, the last sentence refers to the impact on Taylor and Claus Drive neighborhoods. Maybe you would want it repeated in another section, but is that not what you were referring to?
Right, but I was making a suggestion that it be included in that paragraph under finding, the required finding of D for the formula business. That was my
That's fine, and the
suggestion.
language is there on page 2.
I don't think it hurts to mention that at D either, because it addresses that. It's pedestrian orientation of the town center planning area. Of course, that includes the residential area.
And those were my only comments on the reso.
Any further discussion and or motions?
I'd like to take a stab at a motion if I can count on Linda or the rest of you to clarify all the revisions that were proposed to the resolution. I was not tracking them as you were, hopefully. And I move that we approve application number 21-02 for APN number 001223-10, a formula business conditional use permit, and submitting to town council the scoring and a recommendation to the council on design review and sign permits on the Element 7 Fairfax LLC cannabis business permit, recommending denial of the application.
If I may.
Please do.
Okay, Mimi, would you like to, or do you want me to?
No, you go ahead. Thanks, Janet.
Okay. I think what you're.
I forgot Janet was here. Absolutely, Janet.
I'm sorry, that's okay. I think what you want to do is you want to, I'm assuming from what I just heard, that you want to approve resolution number 2021-23 and resolution 2021-22, I believe is the number on that.
Yep.
As amended during your conversation during your deliberation. And that way you don't have to list out all the amendments, but you have these two resolutions that cover what you're doing tonight.
And my question, before I go to Commissioner Swift, my question is it appropriate to do these together, or do we need to do one and then the other?
The reason I wanted them separated out is because one of them is a final action and the other is a recommendation, listing a bunch of recommendations, actually. And the final action is an appealable action. And so it's, you know, if it needs to be appealed, if the applicant wishes to appeal it, they only want to appeal the one
Right.
business CUP. So that's why I asked for them to be separated out. But
So Janet, then I could make a.
Can I ask a
motion on
question of
number
Janet?
2.
Oh, wait.
Could you hold on just a moment, Commissioner Fregoso, Commissioner Swift?
yes, ma'am.
So my question is, we have two resolutions, 2021, 22 and 2021, 23. I was just addressing 2021, 22, and is it possible that we look at these two resolutions separately, both for how we're going to approve or not approve the resolutions? So instead of having one motion that covers both of them, I think it might, because we haven't even talked about 23 yet. So that was my thought, that we just take each resolution.
Well, I think that's what we just discussed, and I think Janet concurred. I did not realize we weren't talking about 23. So if you have further comments on 23, you know, I agree with the idea that we're going to take a motion on each resolution separately. We'll have two motions, 2 seconds. But I would love to hear other thoughts you have about 23 before we get to that point. Thanks.
Okay, let me pull that up. So remind me on 23, when we did talk about it, on page 1, the second whereas, I can't remember if we caught that we're scoring a permit application. And as it's in here, it says, and scoring for a cannabis business permit. So I think that should reflect that we're scoring the application.
And the same thing in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th, whereas it's the same thing, right?
Right.
Okay.
Give me a sec. Page 2, the second whereas.
Same thing. Yeah.
Commission finds that they were able to recommend to the town council that the applicant has satisfied the criteria to achieve the required numerical total. And I would put in between required and numerical the word minimum. And change would enable the council to consider the requested cannabis business permit.
Okay. Yep.
Page 3, and you may have done this already. Under now, therefore it be resolved. Third line changed to refers its, and we may have caught this before, refers the qualifying application score for the cannabis business permit.
Okay. Edit. I got it.
I think that was all I had.
Thank you, Commissioner Swift. Really, really appreciate your attention to detail. Are there any other thoughts or comments on 2021-23? And now, Commissioner Fregoso, do you have a motion as to 2021-22? Let's take that one first. Did I lose you? No, there you are.
You did temporarily. I lost my power. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I lost my power, so I didn't hear a lot of the last discussion. I believe Chair Swift repeated where I was going with it.
Well, yeah, Commissioner Swift.
But I get it. We are now approving. I'm making a motion to approve resolution number 2021 of the Fairfax Planning Commission. Did we want to substitute the language of submitting or we're leaving the forwarding the score to sending it to the council? So we're only talking about denying the formula business conditional use permit for medical cannabis storefront, retail adult use, retail delivery only business proposed to be located at 1930 Sir Francis Drake Boulevard.
So if I could ask Commissioner Fregoso, you're referring to resolution number 2021-22, is that correct?
2021-22, yes.
Okay, with the recommended changes that we've discussed this evening?
Yes.
Great. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion for Fregoso, second Jansen. And you're gonna have to
Linda,
unmute
you're
your.
muted, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Fregoso,
Aye.
Green,
Aye.
Jansen,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Swift,
Aye.
Chair Newton.
No. Did we hear from Commissioner Green? I'm sorry.
Yes, he voted
Okay.
aye.
Aye.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, so that motion passes. There is a 10 calendar day appeal period and a fee of $625 to appeal the planning commission's decision. So now we're going to turn to the resolution number 2021-23. And again, if one of our commissioners could make a motion on that, that'd be great.
Okay, I'll take a stab at proposing a motion to approve resolution number 2021-23, which is a recommendation that the town council deny the design review permit, sign permit, and cannabis business permit for for the property at 1930 Sir Francis Drake, as amended and suggested changes by especially Commissioner Swift and others.
Okay, and that title has been modified.
Right.
Well, and point of
As
clarification on the
amended.
motion.
Sure.
Commissioner Green read only medical cannabis storefront retail, but not adult use retail delivery only business, which I think should be included.
Well, it is in the writing. I was just paraphrasing.
Sure.
But sure, you know, I mean, so we're passing a resolution of the Fairfax Planning Commission recommending that the town council deny the design review permit, sign permit, and cannabis business permit for a medical cannabis storefront retailer / adult use retail delivery only business proposed to be located at 1930 Sir Francis Drake Boulevard.
And can I read
If I-
how, can I
Go
read how
ahead.
it was amended?
Yes.
As amended.
Because they just changed some order. So I'm going to read the one that I thought
Okay.
you were all agreeing on. So it's a resolution of the Fairfax Planning Commission providing scoring on the cannabis business permit application and recommending that the town council deny the design review permit and the sign permit for a medical cannabis storefront retailer and adult use retail delivery only business proposed to be located at 1930 Sir Francis Drake Boulevard.
I second that motion.
Perfect.
Okay, second.
Commissioner Green, is that the way you want your motion, the way Linda?
Yes,
read it?
yes, I didn't have notes, so I didn't have that exact
Sure.
language, but that's fine. That's
Great.
great.
Okay, so motion Green and second Fregoso.
Thank you, Linda.
Okay, Fregoso,
Yes.
Green,
Yeah,
Jansen,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Swift,
Aye.
Chair Newton.
No,
Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate all the hard work.
thank you, Janet. Thank you,
Good
Linda.
luck, Janet.
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, now let's see, back to my agenda. Oh, great. We have three sets of minutes. We have minutes from August 12th, 2021, August 19th, 2021, and September 16th, 2021. So does anyone have changes to make to the August 12th? I have to pull mine up. August 12th, 2021 minutes.
August 12. August 12. September 16.
I don't see anybody with
I
their
don't have an
hands.
August 12. Let's see what I got here.
Well, I don't see anyone with their hands raised. So as Commissioner Fregoso continues to review what we've got, are there any changes to the August 19th, 2021 draft minutes that anyone has to make? Commissioner Swift.
Page 10 under minutes, I would delete the word start here. And that's all I have for that one.
Commissioner Swift, I'm sorry, on page 10 of the, did you say the August 12th minutes? Or did you say the August 19th minutes?
August 19th, she said.
And under,
19th, the August 19th minutes,
on page 10,
under
So-
the word minutes,
yeah,
there is the word start here on my copy.
okay, it wasn't on mine, but all right.
Okay.
Well, it's
There's August.
Maybe they're trying to tell you something.
Oh, it's on mine too.
Really?
It's there. It's minute
think that-
paragraph
I think-
5, right underneath it says start here.
Under the number 5.
I don't see it. Again, I don't see it on mine, but that's immaterial. All right. Commissioner Swift, do you still have your hand raised to comment on something?
Just when we get to the next set of minutes.
Okay, so go ahead. Commissioner Swift.
So on page 1, under public comments, last name of the speaker, John, is Romaidis, Romaidis.
Wait, which page are you on? Page 1 of the okay.
Yeah, under public comments.
It comes up on page 1 and page 3. Romaidis.
So page 4. Sixth bullet down, Christopher made the following comment. If we could change that to Christopher, longtime Sonoma resident.
Okay.
Seventh bullet under Lauren. She has changed that. She has been working with Element 7 for a while under Josh Black, opening stores. The comments attributed to Brenna Gubbins. Is Brenda Gubbins, comma, Fairfax, comma, resident and small business owner, made the following comments. Page 5. My comments, Commissioner Swift provided the following comments. For me, this isn't about being pro anti-cannabis. And that could be the first bullet. She is concerned about the location and number of customers that it plans to serve. And that's it.
Okay, any other comments from commissioners on the September minutes? I have a couple on page 5, right below where Commissioner Swift was referring. There's a reference to Chair Newton referred to code section 17032. If we could make all those references 17032.060. That's where those findings are found in the code, and I think we need the full citation there.
Okay.
Similarly, on page 6, there's discussion regarding the criteria. So in the third paragraph, she asked for a straw poll of the commission of who could support the design review permit. Chair Newton stated she could make all the findings referred to in 17020040. So we know, people know where to find those letters that are referenced there. And in the paragraph below that, Chair Newton asked for a straw poll of the commission of who could support the sign permit exemption. maybe just a parenthetical 17,064,140, which is the criteria for the sign permit. And I frankly didn't have time to look this up, but if we could also refer to the section of the code with respect to the scoring criteria, I would like to point to the specific code provisions that we're discussing in these for each of these criteria, or is that something?
I believe it was a resolution of the town council. So you want to cite the resolution?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure the scoring criteria were in the council resolution where they set up the process.
Yeah, I would like to refer
Okay.
to that then.
If I'm wrong, I'll quote the code section, but I think I'm right.
Yeah, I think it's referring to attachment G, exhibit A, so it's probably right there. If you just look at that attachment G, exhibit A, it'll probably tell you. And those are my comments on September minutes. Does anyone have any comments on the August? I'm gonna go back and figure out August.
Done with them all now.
Well, I know. I think that I thought I saw Commissioner Fregoso looking for her minutes, so I just want to make sure
Yeah,
we didn't.
yeah, she was.
I found them, but I also see August 12 has no minutes, and someone had talked about August 12.
We forward them to you guys later, so it should have been emailed to you. Did everybody else get them?
If I got them, I didn't read them.
Okay. Do you trust the rest of the commissioners?
I
Norma?
do.
Okay.
In fact, I move that we approve all the minutes, including all the edits proposed by commissioners to clarify the language and the code sections.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Motion Fregoso, second Jansen.
Okay, I'll call the roll. Fregoso,
Aye.
Green,
Aye.
Jansen,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Swift,
Aye.
Chair Newton.
Aye. I love how when I talk about how wonderful we are, I'm not even heard. But we're moving along so well. I'm so proud of all of us. And now we get to the planning director's report. Ben.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. This is a status update on the housing element, and also a little bit on the ODDS, Objective Design and Development Standards. Again, to provide some contextual background, because one of the things that we're hearing as we go through this public hearing process, and it's particularly at the last workshop, the joint workshop between your commission and the town council on September 22, is we have to acknowledge that there are people who may be coming into the housing element discussion new at any point in this process. So I'd simply briefly note that the town is undertaking its housing element update in response to state law, mandating that every few years, and of recent vintage, it's been every 8 years, we participate in what's called the Regional Housing Needs Allocation effort, also known as ARENA, the acronym, wherein we update our housing element to reflect current requirements that the state has imposed on the Association of Bay Area Governments, i.e. ABAG, and they in turn on local jurisdictions within their purview. And so what we saw with the proposed 6-cycle housing element, which we are working on right now, is an increase from the prior housing element 61 units to 490 units, roughly 800% increase in the number of housing units. So that's the challenge we face in going through this process. The state has also required that we update any safety element that has not been updated since 2015. Ours had not. So we are undertaking that effort also at this time. This kind of follows up on the September 22 joint meeting with your commission and the town council. We thought that that provided some really excellent direction by your commission and the town council, as well as comments from the public, which we took to heart. We anticipate that we will be providing information on the Fairfax Speaks website, and this is my opportunity to plug that website. We now have, I think, 160 registered users, as well as over 1,500 site visits. So we're kind of getting to the point now where we're seeing an engaged public that exceeds what we would reasonably expect to attend any council meeting, and we're delighted about that. It's a good start. We are projecting our active registered users to go much higher, potentially up to or even over 1,000 users. So to the public that's watching and listening, if you haven't registered, please go to the site and register. That's where the focus of our information is. That's where you will get the type of things that are referred to in the written staff report for this meeting. Part of what we will be providing shortly is an updated housing sites inventory, more information on the housing opportunity sites, i.e. the places we have been discussing for these last several months, or a couple months anyway, and continue to focus on as we go through this process. So we expect to have that information up on the site very shortly. So please do check in. If you go to the site and register, we will inform you when new information is posted on the site. So that's another reason to get signed up. In addition to our online efforts, we heard and are in the process of developing to be shortly mailed out postcards to all Fairfax addresses. So look for that. It'll probably be a nice, friendly green color, heavy stock. So when you get your stack of mail, flip through it and look for that little green postcard, and hopefully you'll stick it with a magnet on your refrigerator if you're the kind of person that does that. But the idea is to provide information on two things. Number one is the website. And the second is our upcoming November 20th public workshop. And this is going to be a very interactive workshop. The staff report for this meeting describes the use of Balancing Act very briefly. We had a demonstration of Balancing Act, which is an interactive online-based public engagement tool. We had a demonstration of that at the Town Council Planning Commission joint meeting on the 22nd, so you can kind of get an idea. The intention is that it's fairly intuitive to learn. We will also have instructions when that does go live so that the public can figure out and get involved with how to interact with our housing process and things like housing opportunity sites. I would also note that the Association of Bay Area Governments is very high on Balancing Act and actually provided grants to 25 jurisdictions to further disseminate this tool as part of these jurisdictions' housing element update process. Unfortunately, even though Fairfax applied and we are one of the beta users of this, we did not get a grant, but so what? We'll pay for it ourselves. So in any event, the November 20 Housing Element Workshop will be virtual, i.e. online. It's going to be from 2 to 6 p.m. And so we're really excited about that. And we think that that's a great opportunity for people to tell us very clearly what they think about various opportunity sites specifically. I would also note that last night at the Town Council meeting, they had a presentation by Liz Darby and Jillian Ziegler from the County of Marin about AB 686 compliance. This is an important part of the housing element update process this time around. It basically deals with the responsibility for all jurisdictions to affirmatively further fair housing. Liz presented a slideshow, which is up on the town council's website, and we will also be posting on our Fairfax Speaks site very shortly. So I think it's wonderful information and kind of contextualizes what we are trying to do to overcome some of the mistakes of the past and provide for a more inclusive future. I would also note that last night the town council created an ad hoc committee consisting of Stephanie Hellman and Chance Catrano to assist staff in our outreach and engagement efforts. And we look forward to participating with those two in refining and freshening our public outreach and engagement efforts. Your planning commission, you probably don't recall, but back at your June 17th meeting, reviewed and approved the engagement and community participation strategies and efforts. I think if anybody's curious, they can go back to what was presented at that time, and you can see that we have already checked off a lot of the things that we said we were going to do, but there's more to come. I would also point the public to the report, which lists a variety of actions and website functionality features, including those pertaining to Assembly Bill 686, and also some of the next steps. And specifically to that, the Planning Commission Housing Element Subcommittee will be meeting next Thursday to go over specifically the safety element. We now are in the tuning up our draft safety element, and we'll be presenting that to the Housing Element Subcommittee. And that in turn will be going to the Town Council for our first public presentation on November 3rd. We also do not have a date firmed up yet, but we'll be convening the Affordable Housing Committee in early November. Look for that to be noticed through the usual town website and public notice boards, et cetera, as well as the Fairfax Speaks website once we've finalized that date. At the Planning Commission meeting on November 18th, we will report out to your commission about the AB686 requirements and the pending workshop in 2 days hence of the 18th and November 20th workshop. We'll also be reviewing the safety element. And I want to alert your Planning Commission that there's very good potential that we will be convening a special meeting of your Planning Commission, possibly on December 9th, just to kind of give your commission a final heads up on where we are with respect to the housing element and housing opportunity sites, as well as discuss objective design and development standards. On the objective design and development standards front, your commission will notice that we haven't, and myself specifically, haven't followed up on prior meeting. That's because it's been kind of a all hands on deck focus on the housing element. However, I will be reaching out to the the objective design and development standards subcommittee members, Norma, Phil, and Robert, commissioners, Norma, Phil, and Robert, and to go over that. I believe our focus will be on duplex design, and this is specifically to anticipate implementation of Senate Bill 9, which takes effect on January 1st, and to start the process of coming up with objective design and development standards for duplexes that arise out of that new state statute. So that's about it. If your commission has questions, I'm happy to respond.
Commissioner Swift and then Commissioner Green.
On the staff report, on page 2, can you tell me what multiple approaches to gather Fairfax story, history of migration and development patterns mean for you?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Swift. That does sound a little mysterious, doesn't it? And you usually attend town council meetings, and that was explained at some length, or it was referenced at the council meeting last night. That pertains to AB 686. And so it's basically an attempt to explore Fairfax's history. And I would like to thank former Mayor Frank Egger, who gave the council really a fascinating walk through the decades of Fairfax's history last night. But we will be doing that and more to kind of discover how migration patterns resulted in what the Fairfax we know and love today, but also the challenges that we experience in a community that is pretty much white and affluent. So that's what we're going to be looking at the commission level.
So in relation to that, you're doing that directly because of AB 686.
Correct.
Okay. Second question, at the Joint Planning Commission Town Council meeting, there was support both from community members and council and myself for community neighborhood meetings. So is staff not planning on doing neighborhood outreach?
Well, what we're going to be doing as a component of that is to create neighborhood engagement groups via the website. And so that will provide an opportunity for affinity groups, geographically based affinity groups in Fairfax, to give us feedback. For example, they may have something very specific to say about evacuation routes. I mean, I'm just hypothesizing, but so we will be incorporating some of that with those ongoing efforts.
So you won't be doing any in-person group meetings?
No, unfortunately, that wasn't part of the scope, and we're have our hands full in what we're doing right now already.
That's too bad. My third question goes to the Housing Element Subcommittee meeting next week. Are we going to be able, before that meeting, a copy of the draft safety element?
Yes.
To review before?
Absolutely. In fact, I hope to be sending that out tomorrow. So look for it.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Did you say when?
Yes, I hope tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thanks. Those are my questions.
Commissioner Green.
Just a kind of overall feel for where we're at here. Where are we going to be addressing the odds again? You know, the 500-page booklet, and where are we supposed to be at this moment on that project?
Well, as I briefly referenced, I think my recommended focus to the subcommittee is to focus on duplexes, because those will be very much part of what Fairfax will be dealing with as we go into 2022 and beyond, due to passage of Senate Bill 9. And so that's the immediate focus, is to develop something, and perhaps that is the most straightforward aspect, because we're dealing with housing scales that we've already discussed, and that is somewhat known in Fairfax. In terms of the remainder of that, conceptually, obviously we understand, staff understands that having some kind of objective design and development standards bases will assist in looking at multifamily housing opportunity sites. that is where we would anticipate continuing the odds effort as we roll into 2022.
Okay, can I ask you if you could go back to that booklet and kind of point to the sections on, unless you know right now, what sections on duplex that you want to concentrate on?
Yeah, there are architectural styles, chapter 8, and oh gosh,
Okay.
you know, I would probably be doing you a disservice. It's on the tip of my tongue, but it's in the lower density residential districts. But I'll tell you what, Commissioner Green, and I will loop back to that with you tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Also, Ben, let's start to see when we can schedule a meeting, because with the holidays coming up and all, things are getting crazy.
Right, you did mention next week. When is that meeting?
Well, that's
Next
for the
week.
housing element subcommittee, and that's already been scheduled for next Thursday.
It's not, that doesn't involve
I'm
that.
talking about the odds meeting.
Right.
The odds subcommittee meeting.
I will.
Also, Ben, I'm here tonight because my surgery was rescheduled from yesterday to December 9th. Just when I thought I'd have one more meeting, I see something here is planned December 9, and that is the new day of my surgery. So I will definitely not be able to see that day.
Yeah, that's preliminary. I'll do a follow-up query to your commission, whether that works. I actually have to touch base a little bit more with our consultants to make sure what we would be presenting to your commission. But insofar as the December 15th town council meeting the following week would be an important meeting for this process, I think it behooves us to bring something to your commission for discussion prior to then. And I don't think we'll be ready to do that at the November 18th meeting. We have other items to discuss.
Any other questions or comments for our planning director? Okay. Thank you very much, Ben. Appreciate it. So the next item on our agenda is commissioner comments and requests. So I see Commissioner Swift is always so swift at raising her hand. So Commissioner Swift.
I'm getting good with that. Two things. One, I wanted to thank members of our community that took the time to speak at the ABAG hearing on the town's appeal of its RENA numbers. So that was gratifying to see. Not every community had that. And my second is a question for Ben. There was discussion of mapping the roads or roadways that aren't 20 feet in width. Are we still planning to do that as part of this process?
I have discussed that with our GIS person. Unfortunately, her schedule right now does not permit that. There's a couple of items that she has to address first. So I'm not forgetting about it. Frankly, given SB 9, we've sort of lost some of our roadway-based policy and regulatory approaches. So we could probably continue this conversation offline, but yeah, we recognize that there are many limitations on Fairfax's evacuation. And as you note, that was something that was raised in our appeal to ABAG, but fell on deaf ears.
Well, it can relate to the safety element as well. So that's why I was
Yeah.
asking. Thank you.
Oh, and I'm not sure if this is the right time to bring this up, but I would also note that at the town council meeting last night, they did consider general plan text amendments proposed by former planning commissioner Shelley Hamilton, and directed the planning commission to review those at the November 18th planning commission meeting. So there will be a staff report for consideration by your commission at that meeting. So just a heads up.
I'm glad to hear that does come back to us, because I saw it on the agenda and wondered why it was just going around us.
Commissioner Fregoso isn't the only one wondering.
Okay, any other commissioners who wish to make any comments or requests?
Then I have one, I can't remember the address, but at the last or the previous town council meeting, one of our projects, I can't remember if it was approved or denied, it must have been denied, went to council on appeal. Off the top of your head, do you remember which that was?
No, but insofar it was principal
There's been
planner
a
Neil's
couple.
project, she will, if she would be kind enough to go online and bring us up to date. I thank you for bringing that topic up.
Are you talking about 63 Spring Lane?
I don't remember, Linda. I know there's been a couple of them, and they're hard to track because I don't always catch the meeting and then what was it and finding my notes.
We have 63 Spring Lane was the new house that was appealed. You also have 80 Crest, which was the house that added a couple of floors below it that's been continued over and over and over.
80 Crest is the one I was.
That hasn't been heard yet.
Is that the one where it went over the height if they allowed the
Right.
lower wine
Right.
wine cellar lounge?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, are they doing an ADU? Why are they not doing an ADU? Anyway, okay.
Yep.
And 63 Spring, we approved it.
You approved it and the council upheld your decision. They denied the appeal. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Someone else.
They added
Someone
some
else appealed
conditions.
it.
They added some minor conditions about, staging and things, and so, but they didn't.
Okay. Oh,
overturn your
good.
decision. Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Wow, you guys, this is really exciting. That we're done so early in the evening. It's as if you could go off and go watch a movie now or something. I mean, there's so much.
It's almost early enough, right?
Are you looking for an emotion to adjourn?
I am so looking for that.
I'll make one then. Motion
Is
to
it-
adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion, Green, second, Swift.
I will call the roll. Fregoso,
Yay.
Green,
Aye.
Jansen,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Swift,
Aye.
Chair Newton.
Aye.
Okay.
It's a wrap.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you
Great.
all.
Thank
You too,
you.
Tamala.